Miss Hawkes, is that it? Hawks?
Ms. Hawks, yes.
With DCF.
That is correct.
Because this is still a 4D case. And then Ms. Blakey is present with, who's with you, Ms. Blakey?
This is my case manager through South Central Mental Health.
All right, very good. All right, I think there are some motions as they pertain to child support. And a motion for modification of custody. I'm not sure. Or a motion to enforce custody order agreements, I guess is how it's framed. But I think the child support maybe predated this other motion. Ms. Hawkes, do you know where are we, or Ms. Hawks, I'm sorry, where we are at as far as you all's position with regard to child support in this case with Judge Murphin, which has been sort of separate somewhat from the custody?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that father has a child support obligation of $342 effective December 1st, 2024, and that we've been doing a dollar for dollar offset for the arrears that were owed by mother. And I believe that's about to be satisfied.
Today, we're diving into a tense courtroom drama involving a high-stakes custody and child support battle. On one side, we have Miss Blakey, a self-represented mother fighting to protect her teenage son, Carbon, and address her concerns about Chad's behavior and alcohol use. Across the table, Mr. Brazil is representing Chad, trying to navigate accusations and maintain co-parenting order. This case has everything: conflicting narratives, emotional intensity, and questions about safety and accountability. Stay with us as we break down the motions, witness statements, and the unexpected moments that unfold in this courtroom showdown. At the heart of this hearing is the child support obligation.
Today on a review of that order.
Okay.
Whether it would continue.
Okay. That is my recollection. And remind me, Carbon is how old now? He was 6 when we started all this, or thereabouts.
Is going to be 16 or 17, excuse me, in August.
17 in August?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And will he graduate this next school year from high school?
No.
He won't. So he's going to be a junior?
Yes.
Yes.
And he'll turn 18 as a senior?
Yes.
So instead of just having 1 year left of child support, there's 2?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Brazil, from what you can ascertain with regard to, and by the way, Ms. Blakey has, for most of the majority of this case and currently, been pro se or self-represented. So this, and she's filed numerous motions on her own. This is a notice of hearing and motion to enforce. Mr. Brazil, do you feel like you have a handle on her motion?
Yes, Judge.
Are you ready to argue it today, or do you want it set for evidentiary hearing?
I think argument is probably fine. I will say, and I would proffer to the court that my client visited with the police that reported to his home that evening, and none of them had any concerns regarding anything like intoxication. And so if we're if we really were going to get into it and have to deal with that question of was he intoxicated, was he not, then I would ask for it to be set for evidence. My hope is that that's not necessary and we can kind of resolve this motion and move forward. I think ultimately the bulk of her motion is more of upset with how co-parenting is going and less of, the specific request for the substance abuse or things like that. I'm kind of a little wondering if this was like an AI generated request. I don't have any.
$3.42 a month, effective December 2024, with a complex dollar-for-dollar offset. But beyond numbers, this case illustrates how child support timelines intersect with real-life adolescent milestones. Carbon is turning 17 this August and will be a junior next school year, meaning there's more than a single year left of financial responsibility. The court isn't just balancing dollars, it's weighing a teen's stability and well-being. This highlights how legal decisions are deeply personal and often fraught with tension between parental rights and responsibilities. Ms. Blakey has been self-represented for the majority of this case, a challenging position in any courtroom. Representing oneself demands meticulous preparation and a strong understanding of legal processes, but it also invites scrutiny from the court. Here, the judge notes numerous filed motions and is trying to parse the intent and legitimacy of her claims, even joking that some may appear AI-generated.
Real reason to believe that that was necessarily there, just the formatting and things like that seem like it might be a ChatGPT generation.
All right. Ms. Blakey, I'm not familiar with that stuff yet enough to hopefully after our October training, maybe a little better at recognizing some red flags, but I'm not at this point. Ms. Blakey, would you please summarize for the court your motion and your requests or prayers for the court with regard to this motion?
Yes. Are we gonna deal with the child support after or first?
We will at some point discuss
Okay.
it. For now, that's the main thrust of this is the motion that you filed on June 5th.
I have written down what I'd like to say. I did my very best to shorten it and stay respectful. So I'd like to say on the record regarding my motion. At a previous hearing, Your Honor reminded us that when things escalate or break down, we are to seek resolution from the court. My intention is not to punish or shame Chad, rather to improve the health and function for all three of us. I filed this motion out of concern, distress, and need. The need for health, peace, safety, and boundaries. The need for support, protection, and accountability. It is my responsibility to advocate for Carbon and for my family. Part of the evidence I've submitted includes a list of medical appointments in order to make known the patterns I believe reflect Chad's lifestyle choices and have compromised his reliability. I believe his longstanding issues with alcohol and personal habits are interfering with his ability to meet Carbon's needs consistently and safely. To my knowledge, Chad has not scheduled or attended one medical appointment since the custody change, not even when Carbon is in his care. Chad relies on me for all of these needs now.
What relying on?
Me for the medical appointments.
Because I remember very distinctly you wanting to be involved, make appointments, go to appointments, be part of things, and you got your wish granted, right?
Yeah, and I don't mean to be rude or pushy, but if I could finish what I've written down, it's really it's important to me that I convey all of this.
All right. Well, I'm trying to take notes here. So one of your issues is that you now are the primary person that schedules everything.
Well, I'll finish.
All right.
Due to this event, this event that based on the
This moment underscores the tension when technology, procedural knowledge, and raw emotion intersect in family law, making the courtroom not just a legal arena, but a test of strategy, patience, and credibility. Now, this is where the case really gets intense. Miss Blakey's motion isn't just legal, it's deeply personal. She outlines her distress over Chad's alcohol use, lack of involvement, and how these behaviors affect Carbon's safety and well-being. Her words reveal the emotional toll of co-parenting under strain. Fear, frustration, and a desire for accountability. The courtroom becomes a stage for emotional testimony, where every phrase conveys years of concern and attempts at resolution.
motion that I filed, a friend suggested that I should not be compensating for Chad's lack of involvement, and I do agree. But when Chad suggests instead to allow Carbon to drive into Wichita alone for the appointment before he's ready to drive on major highways, or for the appointment to be pushed back to accommodate Chad's tattoo clients over Carbon's medical care, or altogether not provide medical care, I cannot stand for this risk or the neglect. If I'm being honest, I do cherish having these moments, these appointments, and this time with Carbon. But I do think that Carbon needs both parents. And if I'm going to be the only one tending to the appointments and other needs, I would at least ask Chad to have a respectful conversation with me instead of lashing out when he has issues, if there's a disagreement. Perhaps Chad feels he's giving us this time out of kindness, the appointments. Perhaps he's relieved to have less responsibility. Whatever the case, I just cannot tolerate the intimidation or the aggression that I experienced during this event. What other people see is a version of Chad that he chooses to show publicly, a kind, successful father, but I'm asking the court to acknowledge that I am on the receiving end of a very different version. There are moments when I am looked at and spoken to by Chad with such deep disdain and contempt that I cannot help but feel unsafe emotionally, spiritually, and physically. I'm almost done. This is a reality.
Notice how she balances advocacy for her child with compassion for Chad. This isn't about punishment, it's about ensuring safety and structure. Here's a striking contradiction. Chad presents a polished, public-facing image of a responsible father, yet Miss Blakey describes instances of deep disdain, aggression, and neglect. The courtroom hears about missed medical appointments, disagreements over scheduling, and emotional intimidation. This duality, public persona versus private behavior, creates a complex dynamic for the court to consider. It's also a reminder that co-parenting disputes often reveal deeper patterns of dysfunction.
Reality I've lived with silently for years, and I did not ask for this. I've asked for peace and health. I shouldn't be expected to suffer in silence or with unknowing that I have no clue if Carbon is in danger behind closed doors with Chad. All I know is that Chad's words do not align with his actions, and no one can convince me that I shouldn't be afraid in these moments. My heart, soul, and intuition knows what it knows, and I know these situations are not right, they're not healthy, they're not safe, and they're not okay, and I can no longer allow these things to happen, and that Carbon and I should no longer endure these outbursts or this addiction. Most importantly, you all must know that through all of this, I do not hate Chad. I want peace for him and with him. I pray for him to heal and find joy again, to be present and whole for Carbon.